teach this class. And by the way, he was about this big. You know, he's just a little tiny guy. You know, wonderful kid. Going to Penn, doing, you know,
great school.
He's a great school, very good kid. Oh, he's so smart. I mean, he's really a smart kid. He told me most important thing in my life is school and tennis.
Yeah,
that's, you know,
that's a different kind of intimidation. And here again, where bad teaching comes in, kids might not be on average smarter than the teacher, but they can sniff when the teacher ain't up to snuff.
And then, you know what else they can sniff? They sniff when you don't care.
Yeah.
They really can tell, and it's almost a prerequisite now. It's really kind of sad. And this, by the way, you know, if I had to come up with a solution, I got the solution. I don't know how to implement it.
Right.
Because until we can't want an education for these kids more than they want it for themselves. And unfortunately for them, they're in a culture that every day sends messages that undermines education. You know, I mean, you know, I do this bad joke, but it's true. I would say to the kids, hard work and good behavior will pay off. And then they go watch Jersey Shore and they told me, you're out of your mind. There's another way to do it, you know. So they're getting these messages, and they really, you know, particularly in the African American community, you have 70%, upwards of 70% out of wedlock births. One of the best indicators of student achievement is the academic success of the mother in the home. So you don't have a model now, you know, and so it's like, it's a snowball. It's just a snowball. So to me, it seems that we have to come up with some kind of campaign akin to the campaign we used to change the attitudes about smoking in the country or drunk driving in the country, where we change the attitudes of the country. We have to do that with the kids. We have to find a way to make them understand that they're not living in the world that I lived, that I grew up in, where you could quit school at 16 and then go get an assembly line job and have a middle-class life because the country would afford you that, would give you that. It's not like that anymore. And so we have to tell them that this little bit of their lives is so important that without it, and in spite of the formidable and legitimate challenges that you have, the obstacles, you still have to find a way to make this happen.
I want to ask you about two more students in just a second, but you said something I want to go pick up on right quick. I literally just had the book come across my desk the other day, and I agreed to have the author on my public radio program, and I'm blanking on the name of the book or the author, but the book is about the fact that families are the answer to poverty. Now, that's an argument that the political right makes all the time. You want to solve the education crisis, you want to solve the poverty crisis in America, it starts with family. There is some legitimacy to that argument. Let's be honest about that.
There's no doubt.
But now that you've gone through this experience, what do you make of that argument? Because the minute that the political right says that, those of us on the left have a response at the ready, but
I'll be honest with you. Look, when I got in trouble in school, I got in trouble at home. Now when kids get in trouble at school, the teacher gets in trouble. So, I mean, the families are important. I mean, family, you can't, nobody can argue that it would be best if everybody had a family, everybody had caring parents. You know, when you go to a private school, you know, people say, what do you get in a private school? Well, sure, you get smaller class size, better facilities, better teachers. Yeah, the only thing you really get is like-minded parents who have skin in the game and who say to their kids, hey, make this count. We don't have that in the public schools. So, okay, family's it. But I'm saying that in the meantime, we still have to solve this. And I just see it as the only way to do it is to somehow convince the kids. And that's going to take everybody, because let's use Jersey Shore for an example, okay? So I had a woman say to me, I hate the people on that show. And I have no love lost for the people on that show, but if I was 20 and you told me, go down to the beach, act out, and we'll pay you, I'd be afraid to see the footage. I would. I mean, forget it. Forget you want to see something, man, okay? So I said to her, I said, it's a wealthy woman, very smart and wealthy woman. I said, well, what do you think about the suits that you had dinner with last night that put that stuff on, that are reaping billions of dollars from this at the expense of our children? You know, remember, Travis, when I was a kid, I'll be 62. When I was a kid, there was actually a guy on TV who used to tell us at 7:30, it's time for all good children to go to sleep. And we would go to sleep. And if you watch the Warner Brothers cartoon, you know, Bugs Bunny would make so many references to history and classical music, you could win Jeopardy almost after. That was a time we really tried to nurture our kids. You know, we talk a good game, but then we just try to sell them something.
Tell me about Nakia.
Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikaya.
Yeah, Nakia. I said Nakia.
One of the great kids.
Sorry, Nakia.
One of the great kids of all time. She was my go-to girl as far as she was the MC at all the. We just did a fundraiser down there in March. I did one in March because they laid off the school nurse.
Right.
Teachers versus Student Talent Show, and she was my MC. She's a young black girl. She's one of the sweetest. She calls me Dad, by the way, which just breaks my heart. But she was smart. She's going to college, by the way. She's on her way to school. She's in college right now. She was a dynamic kid. She was a musician. She had a lot of friends. And then she had a little problem this last year. She sort of, somebody told me she wasn't, but she came out of it, and she's just one of the most wonderful kids. But they all, you know, look, the right has a point. It would be a lot better if they all had families. My point is, they don't.
Yeah, so we got to figure it out. Tell me about this group called the Wanderers.
The Wanderers, okay, so it's a giant school, right? It's a giant school. There's over 200 teachers in the school.
Right.
It's 3,500 kids. And if you're smart enough, you can go through the metal detector, you know, hit your ID,
right.
And if you could keep on the move and you know the place well enough, you don't have to go to class all day.
Just wander.
You just wander.
Yeah.
And these guys don't go to class. There's 4 of them. They're white as white could be, too. You got to see them. You know, they look like they haven't seen the sun.
Yeah.
And they roam around the school, and I would run into them all the time. And one kid I got friendly with, because the other 3 I couldn't break down. But the one kid I sort of broke down. But he was a sad case, and he ended up in jail, and he ended up in trouble. I mean, he just. I got the kid, and I said, listen. I said, come on, you can do this. He said, I'm way behind. I said, come on, we'll do it. We'll go do it together. I'll take you around to the teachers and see. And I went to the teachers, and they were like, you're out of your mind, this kid, you know. We've tried. But I wanted to try. I got all this stuff together, and we were trying to make up his work and try to get it done. And for a while, I thought we might get it. But it's a tough, the kid had, one of the things they don't have is a model. I'm a model. You know, they don't know what it looks like to study or to graduate or to go to work even. So they don't have a model.
I've always believed that that everybody's capable of being redeemed, that as long as you live, there's hope, that you never ever give up on another human being. That's my fundamental belief. And yet, reading your book and hearing you talk about this now, there are some students that teachers just feel cannot be saved or salvaged. When you encounter a student like that, and a teacher should never fundamentally or theoretically
give up. You can't give up.
But when you run into a kid who everybody in the school has tried, he or she appears to be unsalvageable, you know, beyond saving. How do you process that emotionally?
Well, you try one more time.
Yeah.
I think, and then you deal with the fact that you have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
You know, there's somebody gave me this. One of the great teachers there's a woman named Lynn Dixon. She just retired. It's one of the things that's happening, you know, in our schools too, is the baby boomers, they're all going. And a lot of them are the backbone of a lot of these schools. New blood is good, don't get me wrong, and it should be, but that experience is really important. Well, she gave me a plaque. She's the kitsch monster, kitsch maven. She had everything. Anything you need for a lesson, she's got it. So one day, as I was leaving, she gave me one more piece of kitsch, I thought. It was a box. Put it in my bag, and I got on the train. I was coming home after leaving, and I was thinking about this experience I had just been through. It was June 21st when school ended. And I said, I realized I had the box, so I opened it up. And in it was a plaque, little brass scroll on it. This told the story of this giant storm roils the sea and washes thousands of starfish out onto the beach. The clouds break, the sun starts to bake the starfish. The guy comes along, he's walking on the beach, he sees thousands of starfish. He don't know what to do, so he starts picking them up one by one and throwing them in the water. Another guy comes along, his friend comes along and says, what are you doing? There's so many of them, you're not even making a difference. And the guy picks up one more and he throws it in the water and he says to his friend, made a difference to that one. That's all you can do, is try to throw them in the air. And I don't know if I got any in the water, but I think I got a couple closer to the water. And I think that's all you can do. I mean, you can drive yourself crazy about the one you lost, but you got to think about the 50 maybe that you got, you know. I mean, I just think it's especially in this this time that we're living in. It's really, really tough to get them all.
I got a minute to go here. How do you think, given your experience, how do you think teachers sustain their hope against what is a mountain of evidence that what they're doing isn't really making a dent sometimes?
Well, the thing is, every once in a while, a kid will do something to you and let you know that you are. Like I had a kid, I taught a lesson about making the best out of a bad situation. It's my big lesson, because the principal wanted to go on the trip to New York with us. The kids were going crazy. I said, hey, look, she's going. Yeah. We can handle it one of two ways. We could tell her we don't want her. We could hurt her feelings. I hear she's got a hell of a memory. Or we could write her a note and say, you know, we're going to New York. We wouldn't go without you. Yeah. And we'll have a friend in the principal's office. So I made this lesson about it. I was sitting in my classroom months later, I'm sitting in my classroom grading some papers. A kid walks in the door. He says, hey, Mr. Danza. I said, yeah. He says, I quoted you today. I said, you quoted me? I says, what'd you say? He says, I told my friend, make the best of a bad situation.
And there you have it. The new book from Tony Danza is called I'd Like to Apologize.
Great book for people who are going to try this. Yeah. Who want to do it as a second occupation, right, or beginning, because it'll let them know when they're crying, there's other people crying too.
I'd like to apologize to every teacher I ever had my year as a rookie teacher at Northeast High. Great book, great photo, and some great endorsements. Tony, good to have you back on the program.
Hey, Travis, keep up the good work. No, you the best.
Glad to have you here, man.
You know, I'm a big fan.
That's our show for tonight. Until next time, keep the faith.